My speech was going to be the opening speech this morning. So having heard all these incredible people and all their incredible stories, think of me as the opening speaker, and we'll take it from there. So, for me, we are living in a time that feels relentless. The noise is constant and the crises are many. And too often, we find ourselves trapped in reaction mode, responding, coping, surviving. But when we live in a state of constant hypervigilance, it becomes almost impossible to be intentional, to imagine, to create, or to lead with courage. Now, YCAP, from what I've heard today and what we know about them, embraces all the principles to ensure that they are able to cope with everything that's put to them and to us every single day. So for other people, YCAP members and people that are just trying to survive in this hectic world, I offer 3 ideas, 3 ways that we can respond to this moment with purpose. The first is moving from individualism to community. The second is embracing active citizenship and democracy. And the third is adopting a social entrepreneurship mindset to create new pathways out of poverty and unemployment. So the first, when the world feels unstable, our instinct is to retreat inward. We focus on getting through the day. So our small bubble becomes our protection from everything happening around us. And in that environment, individualism can start to feel like the safest option. But if we are to move beyond individualism, and I take my inspiration from Trevor Noah, who reflects on the meaning of the word kind, he points to it connection with kindred, to the idea that we belong to one another, that we are of the same kind. And at its deepest level, kindness is not just being pleasant to each other, it is seeing yourself in another person. It is recognizing your humanity and mine are bound together. And perhaps this is exactly why we find kindness so difficult in the world we live in today. Because we are all being pulled towards performance, isolation, and self-protection instead of connection. For kindness to exist in any meaningful way, we have to move beyond the self. We have to make kindness the foundation of community. So this means choosing to look forward, looking outwards. It means noticing who is around us, where we can contribute, and how we can use our energy, our creativity, and our relationships to build something bigger than ourselves. I suppose the real question is, how do we take that energy beyond our private lives and into the communities we say we care about? Now here I'm talking to mostly other funders, I'm talking to my colleagues, I'm talking to my family, I'm talking to my friends, I'm talking to people that I associate and others associate with on a daily basis. How do we move forward from concern to contribution? And for me, it begins with a shift of lens. It means showing up in a local organization, in my workplace, in my neighborhood, and asking not only what do I need, but what does the community need from me? And it means extending our privilege, which we have in various ways, especially here at Investec, our networks, our influence, and into something practical, local, and real. So that's my first idea. My second is leaning into active citizenship. And now we fund over 130 organizations a year with approximately 76 million rand a year using the income of our foundations. And I find that the systemic, sustainable method of giving needs to be looked at more closely. And we can work with organizations, and we can, as active citizens, each do something ourselves. And this is the piece I'm talking to now. And it's very, very close to my heart. The one quote I want to share with you is, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And that's Margaret Mead. So she captures something powerful about active citizenship. Democracy is not sustained by spectators, it is sustained by people who participate. And before we talk about participation, we have to talk about justice. There can be no real solidarity in a society shaped by deep inequality, and we know that our country is the most unequal country in the world. There can be no dignity for all if human, financial, social, and political resources are governed in ways that entrench exclusion rather than reduce it, which we know this is the current situation. So a few weeks ago, probably a month ago, the Premier of Gauteng, amid a deep access to water crisis, told Joburg residents that he too is affected by water cuts, and he sometimes has to go to a bath at a hotel. So, to be expected, a controversy ensued. In an attempt to apologize, he said that his comments were misinterpreted, and that the point he was trying to make is that we're all suffering the same pain. And it was never his intention to suggest that water cuts affect people differently based on their positions in society. Paradoxically, it would have been more radical and honest if that was indeed that his intentions were, to admit that water cuts do affect people differently based on their stations of life. So what I also find troubling is that this was the Premier's attempt at showing that he was just like everyone else. This was his attempt at human connection, an ability and quality that should be critical in his line of work as the Premier, but was sorely lacked in the moment. So this is why civic education matters so deeply. Its purpose is not simply to teach the mechanics of democracy, but to help secure our freedom, strengthen our participation, and protect our collective future. Where do we stand right now? Just in terms of stats, more than 70% of citizens believe their vote no longer makes a difference, and only 17% say that they are certain to vote in the upcoming local elections, which are happening on the 4th of November. Unfortunately, Investec is having a drive through HR where we're actually trying to bring the IEC into Investec to make sure people are registered. And we are the only corporate that I know of that actually allows the IEC into their building. Where is our democracy in that space? All corporates should be opening their doors. So, for me, if we withdraw entirely, we should not be surprised by the quality of those who govern us. Now, I know it's a difficult decision because we wonder about the quality of all the political parties, but democracy asks something of each of us. It asks us to show up. And this is the moment to step into the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt says. Participation over criticism. The last idea that I'd like to share is social entrepreneurship mindset and creating new pathways out of poverty and employment, which is all about what YCAP does. And I would like to leave you with this. Are we doing enough to support youth-led, locally rooted solutions to the most urgent challenges of our time? Against the backdrop on converging crises, young people are still finding a way forward. I mean, we saw these incredible young people sharing today. Absolutely amazing. I'm blown away, and I'm so pleased that we've been involved for the last 5 years and hope we can do so much more together. Against this backdrop of converging crisis, young people are still finding ways, as I said. They are building businesses in difficult economies, showing up for their communities, experimenting with new forms of leadership. I mean, these are our future leaders, and organizing around shared purpose. When we invest in young people holistically, emotionally, socially, and economically, we strengthen the systems that support their agency. And when agency grows, young people begin to solve the problems closest to their own reality. They are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they are creators, problem solvers, and change makers right now. And agency is the word I use often, especially in my own home with my twins. It is the question of what we can influence, what can we change and shape, and how do we move from helplessness into an action. And if we can help young people make that shift from powerlessness to possibility, we help catalyze transformation that is both personal and social. So again, this is why Investec Strategic Philanthropy, via our foundation, our Private Clients Foundation, supports initiatives such as YCAP. They help build the next generation of value-led problem solvers and critical thinkers and change makers. So thank you, Amanda. I know how passionate and amazing you are, and every single one of these young people mentioned you, and you are a mentor to all of them. So we need more change makers like you and more change makers like them. So I really do believe active citizens can make a difference, and they need to help others to believe they can too. So ultimately for me, the goal is simple. Even if words are not, extend dignity, opportunity, and humanity more widely. How we do that, individually and collectively, is in our hands. Thank you.